This is an exciting day because I finally have a suitcase here from Carl Friedrik. This is the Carry-on X. Let's get right into it. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Desmond. I make content about tech and travel gear, and I've been waiting a really long time to test and review a Carl Friedrik suitcase. If you're not familiar with the brand, they make pretty premium, well-designed carry-on, check, and just a variety of different travel accessories. But this right here is the Carry-on X. It's one of my favorite polycarbonate suitcases I've ever tested. Now, before we jump in, this is not a sponsored video. They did send this over, just like a lot of other brands that send over suitcases, so not really much bias on my part. I test everything exactly the same, so I'm gonna hopefully give you some honest opinions here. But just a quick one, a TLDR, I think this is probably one of the best polycarbonate suitcases I've tested and used across all of the different videos I've made on this channel, and it's for a few different reasons. First of all, I think the quality is pretty fantastic. The biggest piece though, second of all, it's the design. This looks nothing like any other polycarbonate suitcase that I've ever tested on this channel, and that is the biggest thing holding me back from really adopting polycarbonate as my go-to carry-on versus aluminum, which is what I always tend to use. So let's get right into it. First of all, this is called the Carry-on X. It is a carry-on size. It's about 43 liters of storage here. There's a couple things that make it special than some of the other polycarbs I've tested. First, you're gonna notice this full aluminum frame. So it's not a zip-up polycarbonate. I know a lot of you have dropped in comments and questions about zip-up polycarbs, like the pen trick, being able to just crack open one of your suitcases. With an aluminum frame, that is not going to be the case. The other thing you're going to notice here is, yes, we do have zippers, but this is for the laptop compartment. So this opens up so you can store your tech, laptops, journals, other peripherals in a separate easy access compartment. And then the other piece you'll notice is, because it is this hybrid aluminum setup, you have these really cool quick action locks. But let's start with build quality and design material. First of all, this is what they call a Macrolon polycarbonate shell. I assume that's just, some trademarked name for a high quality polycarbonate, and it feels high quality. I've tested a lot of different polycarbonate suitcases, from the Amazons to the Monos to all different types of brands. I think this is incredibly rigid. There's still a good amount of flex. It isn't something that's going to crack under pressure, and I think it still does a good job of just looking very nice. And speaking of design, the colorway I went with here is a very classic Carl Friedrik colorway. If you've seen their stuff before, if you've seen ads on Instagram, or if you've seen other YouTube videos, this is their gray and cognac colorway. I've got the cognac leather details here, and then the Macrolon polycarbonate is this really nice kind of gray. I really like it. I think it matches well with this gunmetal aluminum along the frame here, as well as the locks. So as we make our way around, let's talk about the specs on this thing. It's, again, you've got this hard shell front laptop pocket. This is where I store all of my tech and my gear when I'm traveling for work. And then we've got a telescoping handle here. Like any carry-on, you're gonna have a trolley arm, which is really nice. It is made of aluminum and plastic, so it keeps it relatively light. There's some good flex in here as well. And then the biggest thing is we've got this aluminum frame. I actually really like how well this aluminum frame is designed. It fits the lines of the Carry-on X really nicely, because what you'll also notice that's unique to Carl Friedrik is you kind of have this lined design. It also comes in like a dotted pattern. I just wanted to go with a classic Carl Friedrik look. So the aluminum frame just blends in really well. We've got some rivets that hold it in place. Also color matched gunmetal hardware. The TSA approved locks. These are a little bit different than some of the locks I've used on other suitcases. They're really quiet when they open. But when you click them in, they lock into place. But I kind of like how they open very smoothly. It's not as violent as some of the aluminum suitcases I have where the tab kind of flicks up. This is pretty nice and gentle. And then again, classic combination lock here that you can set on your own. And then of course on the side we have this really nice leather carrying handle. I like it. I think it does a really good job. It looks pretty good after some wear and tear. This is a smooth vegetable tanned leather, so I'm assuming if I apply a little bit of pressure because of the smooth finish, it's something that may scratch relatively easily, but because it is also leather, it's going to be part of that patina, that aging, that kind of character that it picks up after years of use. Oils from your hand, scratches, little dings, they will all eventually blend in to give these handles on the side and on the top some really nice character. Where you'll also see that leather accent is just strip across the front of the laptop compartment. This is pretty classic Carl Friedrik. If you buy the Carry-on X or a standard carry-on or a check bag, they always have this leather stripe that runs across the front of the suitcase. That plus some of the kind of unique design details is kind of how you tell a Carl Friedrik apart at the airport. And then let's roll it over to this side. This is where the latch is. Again, that aluminum frame runs the entire body of this polycarbonate suitcase. We've got a reinforced hinge here. Again, that gunmetal hardware, these rivets that run along it. And the other thing you'll notice is there is a rubber lining all along the entire hinge and the entire kind of closing mechanism. So all of your stuff, it's going to be protected from the elements, from water, from just other things that may get in. Your laptop pocket, unfortunately, is just kind of a classic cloth-based zipper. There's nothing Gore-Tex or weather resistant about it. So, I mean, your laptop is probably going to get wet if you get caught in the rain. So just keep an eye out for where you're traveling and just make sure you plan accordingly. But the stuff inside the suitcase will stay safe. Other things you'll notice on this side of the suitcase is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 little feet. So when you place this on its side, the suitcase itself doesn't make contact with the ground. Again, if you drop it, these probably absorb some of the impact, but probably not too much. And then what we'll do, one of the things that's probably most important about a carry-on suitcase, hopefully people talk about this in their reviews, are the wheels themselves. The quality of the wheels make a huge difference to the entire user experience. It doesn't really matter how nice the setup is, how nice the case is. If the wheels are crappy, you're going to have a crappy experience. This is how it moves around. The nice thing about the Carl Friedrik wheels is they use a very, very popular brand. This is the Hinomoto Silent Spinner wheels. If you know anything about like the carry-on space or luggage space, this is just a fantastic set of wheels to have on your suitcase. They are smooth. Again, they're called the Silent Spinner wheels. They are very, very quiet when they're rolling through an airport. So you're not going to hear that jank and jingle. They've got rubber right on the bottom, and it's just a smooth action. And of course, you can see here, they rotate 360 degrees, giving you a lot of maneuverability. This thing does a pretty solid job, although I did run into a little bit of friction when you're going through an airport or when I'm going through like the hallways of a nice hotel that have really plush carpets. It causes a lot of friction. So even with nicer wheels, rolling a heavy suitcase over plush carpet can be a bit of a challenge. Other than that though, everything else, these things roll fantastic. And before we get into the interior, let's just talk about the overall size, right? So this is 15 by 21.7 by 9.6. Really, with that said, it fits everywhere. I've had this on international flights to London. I've taken this on regional flights within California. I've taken this on short flights to Vegas. I've taken this on flights across the country to New York and Chicago. I have yet to run into a challenge with this fitting in the overhead compartment. The only thing that I will call out, if you tend to fly some of these larger planes, when I was flying to Chicago, the planes with the 343 setup, those overhead bins in the center are not really well made for this to go in wheels in. You'd have to either turn it on its side or throw it over into the 3-seat overhead bins, which will accept this wheels in. So just keep that in mind if you're a frequent traveler. I always look at the type of plane that I'm flying on, and because I've flown so much, I kind of know what the overhead capacity and the overhead like space is like. Maybe that's a good thing or it's a bad thing. But with all of that said, I've run into no problems fitting this into overhead space. All right, so let's start getting into the interior. I'm gonna go ahead and just open up this front pocket here. One thing you will notice is that these zippers up top, they do have a little hole for a TSA approved lock, so you can lock your laptop compartment shut. So it opened up really well, and that's probably one thing to call out is even though I think this zipper is a little bit cheap, it is very smooth. So you can zip this up really, really well. I'm sure these are just classic YKK zippers. I would have preferred something with a rubberized lining, maybe like Gore-Tex or some weather sealed kind of like lining here, but those also add a little bit more friction when you're kind of opening and close this. So this zips open really quickly and really easily. And as you can see, we've got this really nice kind of half clamshell style opening. I like these little buttons here. I actually think you can Velcro and unbutton these to allow this to drop fully open. I don't do that. There's really no point for me. But I like that when I get to the airport lounge or to a hotel or wherever I just want to grab my laptop, I can zip this open, grab my laptop, which would fit in, you know, this compartment here. We've got a little strap to hold it in place also with the leather accent. And then we've got some mesh pockets in here. We've got a couple of smaller pockets on the front here and little pen loops. So you've got some organization built right into this compartment. I find myself using that a lot because I don't love carrying my laptop and my camera in my personal carry. It gets a little bit heavy. The fact that I can offload the laptop, some of the charging bricks, my journal, and other heavier, denser items into this compartment without having to dig through my main carry-on is a huge bonus for me, especially for work travel. And then, of course, let's go ahead and open up the suitcase. Like I mentioned, these locks, they're very quiet. You press on both sides and it opens right up. So nothing special about the interior. I mean, the lining is nice. It is that kind of matched gray with the exterior. You see the little CF logo all over the inside. You've got the Carl Friedrik leather patch and logo embossed here. And then, of course, you've kind of got your classic securing straps. These aren't anything particularly special. They're reinforced. They're bolted into the frame itself. And then it's just classic nylon clips. And the other thing that I'll show you is on this side, we've got a bit of a hybrid setup, right? So we've got the nylon strap here, but we also have this flat organizer. You've got a pocket right here. You can zip it, unzip it, put socks, whatever you want. But what's nice about this is it comes up, you can put all of your things in, you can place it on top, use the straps and this flat panel to compress everything that you need, and then you've got at least half of this compressed, almost fully enclosed so that you can easily close your suitcase and get on the move. The nice thing about this is it is removable, so it's a pretty simple removing system. I've just gone ahead and taken this off, and as you can see here, I can actually put it on either side of the suitcase. It allows for some customization. It is entirely up to you. Same thing, you're going to see the little CF logo all over this, but overall the interior is, it's nice. And then one thing you'll also notice, we've got some couple of tiny pockets here. Overall capacity on this thing is good. 43 liters of capacity overall, probably including this laptop compartment here. But for a 3 to 4 day trip, I've been able to pack almost everything that I need. Extra pair of dress shoes, pants, jeans, suit jacket. I also put my camera in here in a little packing cube. I could carry some extra tech peripherals that I don't want to kind of throw into my personal carry. And then of course we have this entire compartment here where we can put our laptop, our extra tech peripherals, kind of flatter items. The one thing that I will say is I would definitely pack the suitcase first before you start filling this up. Of course, this section shares the storage and capacity with this half of the suitcase. So when it's full, it's going to push all of this out. The nice thing is you can see this has some width to it, so it will allow for some stretch and expansion. So I like to just pack the suitcase full of everything that I need, and then because it's got a pretty relatively flexible frame, I can just pack in the laptop and everything extra in here, zip it up, and it holds everything in really nicely without looking overly compressed or overly expanded. And then empty, it's about 9.5 pounds, which isn't too bad. I carry aluminum suitcases most of the time when I travel. Those are heavy compared to polycarbonates. But this is a hybrid. You've got the polycarb shell, and then you've got the aluminum frame. You've got this extra little laptop area. So I think the weight overall feels fine. Once you load it up, of course, it can get a little bit heavy, but it's definitely lighter than an aluminum suitcase. But what I love about this particular Carry-on X is it has the aesthetics that most people are looking for when they're buying aluminum suitcases. Because, I mean, most polycarbs, you got to admit, are kind of ugly, or they all kind of look the same. They're very basic. They're just rounded plastic shells, not a lot of character to them. And I know for me, when I'm looking for travel gear, I want something that is aesthetically pleasing. I want something that looks great, which is why I tend to lean towards aluminum, because a lot of that design thought is already built into the brands that make those. Carl Friedrik is a brand that makes beautiful polycarbs in a way that I haven't seen from others before. All right, and let's get to the fun part, the pricing. There's a reason why Carl Friedrik is so well known for the quality and design of their polycarbonate bags, but that also means there's a price tag that comes with it, right? So the Carry-on X in the carry-on size is $595 before tax. That's not a cheap polycarbonate suitcase. I'd say this is kind of right in the middle of the road between your like Amazon polycarbs, which could come in at like $200-300. Maybe you move into like the Away and the Monos category and you're getting up to the 350s or so. This sits at $595, and then you've got your aluminum suitcases from like Rimawas and like Tumis that all fall into like the $1,300-1,200 category. So for those of you that are looking for a suitcase that looks premium, functions really well, and is built well, but don't want to dish out the extra cash that comes with an aluminum suitcase from brands like Tumis and the Rimawas, this is a really solid option, because if you are looking at the design aesthetic of an aluminum suitcase, there are discount brands out there like the MVSTs of the world. I've tested a bunch of these on like Amazon brands. The aluminum is different. The build quality is different. You're kind of getting what you're paying for. So if you're going to buy a $400 aluminum suitcase, it's a $400 aluminum suitcase, which is expensive when compared to polycarb, but is very, very cheap when compared to like your classic aluminum price point. And there are downsides to build quality there. Now, from a polycarbonate standpoint, if you're looking at this compared to other polycarbs on the market, this is at the higher end. And I will tell you, you are getting what you are paying for. This hybrid design works really well. It's lightweight, it's durable. The design is probably the biggest selling point for me. Like I said, I buy aluminum suitcases. I use them because they just look good. I don't want my stuff to look like a plastic shell. This is not the case for the Carl Friedrik suitcases. They look fantastic. So you're kind of getting what you're paying for. $600 for a plastic suitcase. Yes, it's probably steep for a lot of people, but nothing else on the market looks like this. So if you're looking for something that kind of falls into that point of like luxury, design, and style and aesthetic without getting into those $1,000 plus luxury price points, this is a really solid option for you. Again, I think I'm going to preface all of these videos with you should do your research. Check out some of my other videos. I've done some reviews on cheaper polycarbs out there, cheaper polycarbonate suitcases that also have the laptop pocket. You're going to start to notice that those all look the same, and this is something that stands out. But again, do your research, check out Amazon, check out different brands, go to Instagram, say the word polycarbonate suitcase. You'll probably get ads surfaced to you. But for the price, I think this is one of the best well-rounded options on the market, especially when it comes to design and build quality. I really enjoy using this. This is definitely a suitcase that would easily replace an aluminum suitcase for a trip because it has a lot of the features and it looks really nice. And I kind of get to shed some of the weight. Not that I'll always travel without an aluminum suitcase, but I like having the option of this now. Anyways, with that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, check out Carl Friedrik. They have a lot of other different options as well. Keep in mind, this is that higher end price point for the polycarb market. But take a look. If you guys like this, hit that like button, subscribe for more videos just like this. I will catch y'all in the next one.